Hey, Sarge. So, welcome to the new FMAC.
Hey, thanks. Oh, FMAC. What does FMAK stand for?
Well, you know,
I'm the
give
fucking
it
voice
give
of
it a
reason
minute,
around here,
Sarge.
and you
I
got
think
me
it'll come
pissed
to you.
off.
Still not totally crazy about that opening. I'm gonna keep working on it. Good morning, anybody who might be out there. Just thought I'd stop in, see who's around, see if we've got anything to talk about. I, of course, did this with no warning to the rest of the team, so I don't know if anybody will be joining. Well, speaking of joining, I guess I could put the link out there as I sit here talking to an empty room. But that's the story of my life. So I'll just ramble on a little bit until, oh, hey, there's Nerdy. How's it going, Nerdy? I hope you have your coffee. You've probably been up for 3 hours already. I hope this is all broadcasting good. It seems like my internet, especially anything connected to YouTube, is just a little slower than usual. Hey, Kiwi and Mark. I don't know if any of the down under people would be around. I know it's nighttime for you guys. Kiwi, we will excuse you if you didn't bring your coffee. Anyway, folks, I have nothing really to talk about. Just thought I'd come out and see if anybody wanted a quick chat. So hopefully if somebody out there has something to say. Yeah, the bad thing about me drinking the profits there, Kiwi, is stealing coffee and office supplies from the office is about the only way we get paid around here. I don't want to mention Sarge by name, but yeah, we have not seen a paycheck in 6 months. And I will try not to, Kiwi. I would not want to ruin my image. In fact, I will try sometime this morning to yell at Nerdy just so everybody can go, hey, look, there goes the crazy man again. I've been getting all caught up on the internet dunking of the Republican Party. You know, I've been paying like pretty much no attention to politics. You know, I used to be a real politics junkie. I mean, from the time I was a kid, I can remember talking about politics with my dad when I was like 10 years old. Of course, that's probably, you know, the difference then and now. If you were a TV junkie back then, you didn't have a lot of choice in channels. So if you're watching TV at 6 o'clock, you were watching the news. Hello, Mitch. But anyway, yeah. But these last couple years, and I don't want to impugn any particular people out there that others might get offended by me saying it, but I think it was basically the Trump years that just burned the interest right out of me. So yeah, about the only thing I know about politics right now is when somebody shot at Trump. I learned that right here because me and Sergeant Ariel, I'm pretty sure it was Ariel, were in a meeting. I stepped away. When I came back, they were gone. And I saw that they were now had a live going saying somebody just shot at Trump. And the other thing that I know of that I think I also learned right here. You know what? I got it wrong. Somebody in chat said that they shot at Trump, and we went to look. It was Biden dropping out that I learned about when I walked away from the meeting and came back to an empty room. So yeah. And I saw, let's see, what else do I know about politics? I know Trump picked an absolutely horrible vice president. Of course, when I say Trump picked, you know, he didn't pick him. It's the party says, okay, we need somebody that will appeal to these particular states and all that. So what we're going to do is we're going to find you someone who's a real crazy right-winger. The last I knew, Kamala, they were still working on the short list. I'm guessing they might wait till the convention before she announces. Because I guess technically she can't really say who her vice president will be until the convention, because the convention will have to confirm her as the candidate. Oh, short order, the Democrats came out in savage form and putting the Republicans in their place. It is brutal, and I am there for it. Let me see. I have seen commercials that the Republicans start doing, and when we say the Republicans, it's actually those political action committees that are the same people, but they do that to insulate the candidate. You know, they say, oh, this was put out by a PAC. You know, Trump didn't say this. None of the Trump people said this. The Republican Party didn't say it. It's by that PAC, you know, the whatever they'll call themselves, the great patriots of America who hate Americans. But I did see they're now everything that they wanted to pin on Biden before, and a lot of it had nothing to do with Biden, but anything that they were going to throw at Biden, they've switched gears and said it was Kamala all the time, that Kamala was covering for Biden behind the scenes, and that so she now owns the whole Biden record. I wouldn't be surprised if they start blaming her for votes he made in the Senate 30 years ago. Kiwis keeping warm in the middle of winter. Really, I didn't know you guys got much snow. Birds are nesting and flowers are blooming, so spring is not far away. GMK is here, and he says, nerdy, I'm not going to argue with you. You're about damn straight. I like that. By the way, folks, this is a non-political channel, but I will tell you, I am a liberal. Sarge is a liberal. The other two guys don't talk about it too much. But one thing that has changed, you know, I always talk about, and I am going to sit here and ramble, since what else can I do? I've often talked about this. I grew up with my parents and their friends used to get together pretty much every Saturday. In the wintertime, it was at various houses. Often it was our house. And in the summer, it'd be somebody's place where we could barbecue and yell and scream without bothering people. But anyway, hey Howard, how you doing? Uh, the way it used to be, there'd be all these people at our house. I'd say it was probably a regular group of about 6 families. Um, and the men would usually be out in the kitchen, sitting around the kitchen table, talking, arguing, drinking beer. The women would be in the dining room, sitting around the dining room table, talking. Usually the women were just drinking coffee or whatever. And all the kids, because nobody had ever heard of babysitters back there in the 1700s, all us kids would be in the living room. So it really was like there's a family thing every week. But the thing I was going to mention is the guys out there in the kitchen, they would sit there and they would argue about politics and whatever else. And at the end of the night, even though they've been swearing at each other somewhat, and just arguing, bloody arguing. At the end of the night, they'd stand up and go, "Okay, so see you next Saturday." Because that's the way it was. It was everybody was able to compartmentalize the personal from the politics and good morning to you biscuits. And that's the way I've always tried to be. And I must admit, for a while there, I lost myself because I was just so amazed that anybody could support an orange moron who knew nothing about America. And you people that like him are going to say, "What are you talking about?" Well, because, uh, the guy wouldn't know the Constitution if it hit him over the head. Anyway, plus I never liked him from before. But let's go past that. But the thing is, for a while I became one of those people that was like, if you support Trump, I don't want to have anything to do with you. And it was like that for a while, and then I got past it, and I'm back to where I used to be, where you could talk about this stuff without it being personal. And I don't know why you even brought that up, nerdy. But okay, now I gotta ask. This is a very important question. For everybody on this side of the world, we are forgiving the down under folks because of what time it is over there. But remember, this is Saturday morning coffee, so I hope you have your coffee. Today, my coffee is called Southern Pecan. And I know it's interesting, biscuits. Usually as you get older, you should get more tolerant. Something I noticed when I read the label on my coffee and it said Southern Pecan. And people always say, is it pecan? Is it pecan? Who cares as long as you make a good pie? But I've noticed I say both. If I'll say, yeah, they have a lot of pecan trees down there. But on the other hand, I say, I love a good pecan pie. Just one of those interesting little facts about me that you can file away. Yeah, that's the thing too. GMK, I think that's what started to burn that whole thing out of me is there is no sense in trying to talk to the MAGA heads. Now, I'm not going to say to Republicans or even conservatives, but those down hard MAGA heads, you can't talk to them. I'm sure we've all, and I'm just going to assume we all have seen those things where guys will go to like a Trump rally, and they do it to both sides, but sticking with this, you go to a Trump rally and they'll interview people. And one of the ones I always like is when they'll say, can you believe that Joe Biden just said this? And the person will go, well, that is terrible. That just shows that he is bad for America. They should get rid of him right now. And then the guy will say, oh, wait, oh, I'm sorry, I was reading the wrong list. That's something Trump said. Oh, well, okay. Yeah, I can see that. It's like their brain cannot accept. I look at it like religious fanatics. You get somebody, and I believe it's an insecurity. People are insecure in their beliefs, so they don't like them challenged. Like if you are convinced that the only way you can get to heaven is by being a good Baptist, but you don't really know a whole lot about your religion. You just go to church every Sunday and listen to some crazy preacher telling you that if you wear polka dot shirts on Tuesday, God will send you straight to hell. Well, if you try to talk to somebody like that, they're like, oh, no, well, no, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. And that's the way those MAGA heads are. I've always said, now this is something that will really stir some people up. My favorite president is Obama. And I'll tell you, over the last few years, going back through the presidents, we'll start with, let's see, Bush Sr. was before Clinton, right? Yeah. Bush Sr. is a guy that I disagreed with politically. I didn't think he was a great president, but he seems like a good man, And jumping ahead, I'll say the same about Bush Jr. Clinton, I thought was a pretty good president. I agreed with him a lot politically, but he is a shit of a human being. And then, like I say, both the Bushes, I disagree with them politically, but they're the kind of guys I would sit at my kitchen table with and drink beer or coffee and discuss things. Clinton, I wouldn't let in my house. Now you come to Obama, and I felt like Obama was the best of both. I agreed with him a lot politically. And I think he's a good human being. And then you came to Trump, and I think he's the worst of both. I don't agree with his politics, at least the ones that he shows publicly, because I think a lot of stuff he says, he doesn't believe it. He just is appealing to certain people. And I know you're going to say all politicians do that, but some do it to a more extreme. And I also think he is a lousy fucking human being. He sleeps with hookers when his wife is pregnant. He cheats people in business deals. Yeah, so anyway, getting back to whatever it was I was going to say. Oh, but the thing I always said, using Obama as an example, like I say, he was my favorite president of my lifetime. He's definitely in my top 5 all time. I also really like Harry Truman, but anyway, there were times that I could disagree with things Obama said or did, and it did not destroy my world. And I think most of the other Obama or Democratic or liberal supporters are the same. They can disagree with something their guy does. On the other hand, those MAGA heads, it just doesn't occur to them that their great orange god could ever make a mistake. Anyway, like I said, we're not talking politics today. And it seems like, Howard's an 8 o'clock man. Howard, I'll tell you, I used to love when there was an A&P around when I was a kid. I loved walking down the coffee aisle because they would have those big grinders there, and people would buy their pound of coffee and grind it right into the bag, and it just smelled so good. But as far as drinking 8 o'clock, I'd rather not. Now, wait a minute. Nerdy just put contains no real pecans. Nerdy, you can't possibly be saying you make a pecan pie with no pecans in it. I'm not sure where that discussion came from. Yeah, Mitch's favorite coffee is Howard. I don't know why I laughed because I'm not even sure what that joke means, but it works that way sometimes. I always you notice that sometimes if you're sitting around with friends and you'll say something, a funny line comes to mind, and you'll say something like, well, he wasn't wearing shoes, and everybody laughs, and then you stop and think about it and go, it didn't make a whole lot of sense, but somehow it's funny at the time. Mitch says it's no o'clock. My first presidential election was 1988. Who let the kids in here? And I must admit, I voted for Bush because of the tank picture. Yeah, it's amazing what will turn an election. The first one I was old enough to vote in would be had to be Jimmy Carter. No, it would have been. Is it the same one? I'm trying to remember the. Trying to remember where they all were now, because it seems like okay, must have been Ford running for re-election. But on the whole thing of like with the tank picture or things like that, there's a thing I always found interesting. If you know much about American political history, you've heard of a couple things like the Lincoln-Douglas debates. And no, I was not there. The damn train was late and I missed the whole thing. But anyway, the Nixon-Kennedy debates in 1960, they were the first televised debates, presidential live debates. And, that was actually a close election. And they always credited Kennedy's win in big part on the debate. The funny thing about it is when they polled people after the debate, the people who watched the debate on television overwhelmingly thought Kennedy won. The people who listened to the debate, and I don't know why I'm doing this either, folks. It's a Saturday morning, and I still haven't totally drank my coffee, but anyway, the people who listened to the debate on the radio thought Nixon won. And that was kind of a turning point in politics when people realized that image had become much more important than ideas. You got to wonder if Nixon had won that time, would he have still been the asshole he was later? Probably, but you don't know. Maybe when he did get elected later, he was much more bitter about being beaten by some pretty boy from Massachusetts, and he decided, okay, now it's going to be all tricky dick all the time. It just got quiet in here. Oh, that's because I stopped talking. Hey, XO. From the East Coast to the West Coast and everywhere in between, welcome to the best podcast on YouTube. That's very flattering, but that's the standard greeting XO gives with any chat he goes into. Oh, is there GMK? I can't remember that one. I've probably seen it before, but I'm guessing maybe Chicago was involved. Which, by the way, I mentioned the last few presidents. I'm pretty sure I saw a thing not long ago that you realize there has not been a Republican president in these last several who won the popular vote. They've all won with the Electoral College. So they say that Kennedy could have actually stolen the election. I know they always claimed he had some, shall we say, unsavory connections. Well, was it his father or grandfather was like a big-time bootlegger? And once again, folks, if you do not have your coffee with you, we will not throw you out, but you're just not one of the cool kids. And the chat has come to a roaring stop. And I will remind you, as I have been doing constantly for the last 6 months, tomorrow is our first, what we call podcast, although I'm not wild about the name, but how else would you describe it? Our first one-on-one, it'll be with Jocelyn. It'll be 1 p.m. Eastern time. And she will be here to tell her story. And that's what our podcast channel is going to be all about, is people who have a story to tell. We don't care what your story is, as long as it's the truth. We don't want people coming in with once upon a time, but if it is your story, we'll listen to it. And I'm sure other people will be interested in it. It doesn't have to be any kind of big, exciting story. You don't have to have gone to war. You don't have to have been to prison. You don't have to have survived cancer, but all that stuff is fine to talk about also. But just whatever part of your life you'd like to talk about, let us know. Anyway, like I say, tomorrow, 1 o'clock is Jocelyn. And I think hers is going to be interesting. I've known her for several years, and I knew the basics of her story was that she had a baby at the ripe old age of 15, and managed to finish school and get a career as a single mother, which I know a lot of people are going to say, well, we know plenty of people have done that, but I think we know an awful lot, too, of teenagers who just sort of give up. But anyway, they'll either live off the system or give the baby away. Anyway, I've always admired her, so I asked if she would do it. And one of the things she told me was that there was a lot of her story that she's never told to her closest friends or even family. So I think it'll be interesting. And she did tell me the other day, I'll mention this now because I want to remember to mention it tomorrow. She said I might want to give people a trigger warning because her story will involve addiction and domestic abuse. Now that's all she told me. I don't know if she's talking about she was abused or there was abuse in her family or what, but anyway. Well, nobody else is throwing any chat out there. I'll just tell you about that. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a very interesting thing we'll be doing. We're doing it on a separate channel because it is, different. Usually what we do here is we just kind of get together randomly and we'll talk about whatever. Actually, last night I did one that it was a little different for us. I came in with a specific topic to talk about. And the people that came in, we had a good discussion about CYS, Children and Youth Services in my state. Other places have CPS or Department of whatever. But yeah, I read a story in the newspaper about CYS taking a baby away from a couple 12 hours after the baby was born. Yeah, we had a good discussion about that. My buddy Nikki came up on panel and she had a lot of good information about that sort of thing. Like I say, otherwise here, it's like today, just go on and talk about whatever. So these other things, where we want people to come in and tell their story, we're doing that in a separate place. And I will mention this too while I am rambling and nobody is chatting. If you do come tomorrow, we will, of course, be broadcasting across several channels. But if you're going to want to have a comment or a question seen, you will have to be in the podcast chat. We won't be highlighting anything from any of the other chats. And there's no guarantee, of course, if you have a question, even from podcast chat, that it'll be highlighted because if it, we're not going to let people run any of our guests down from chat like often happens with just regular discussions, because this is a different kind of thing. But also, I always say it would take appropriate questions, but appropriate could also mean the fact that if this person is at the time talking about, so then I started my first year of college and somebody, because I've seen this happen in chats all the time, somebody will say, so where are you working now? Well, that might not be considered inappropriate, but it also is irrelevant at the time because, if the person has just talked about growing up in Poughkeepsie and they went off to college, they're probably going to be getting to what they are doing as a career. Anyway, I'm still rambling. Nobody is chatting. I don't know if I put you all to sleep or I am just so damn interesting that all your hands are frozen and you cannot touch the keyboard. Something's wrong when even nerdy is quiet. And then again, as far as I know, from the way StreamYard and YouTube have been treating me lately, I could be sitting here talking to myself and I'm not actually being broadcast because I've had a lot of weird stuff going on. I can't watch any live broadcast on YouTube. It'll shut down after about a minute. Last night when I tried to use some of the, whatever you call them, special effects or something, I wouldn't see them on screen. And like, uh, just for example, let me see. I went to use this when Sarge was leaving. We'll see what happens right now. Okay, now I saw that right now. Last night I did not see it. And I hit it again, and I saw it the second time, but nerdy, hey nerdy, Nikki said no, she saw it both times. Hello, Kuza. So, yeah, the internet is hating me lately. And it's definitely YouTube StreamYard stuff because I have no trouble on Facebook. I have no trouble playing my game that is pretty bandwidth grabbing, because it takes a lot of internet space to allow me to go off there and kill those goblins and dark elves and so forth. So it's here. YouTube hates me. One of these days, you're going to be watching me sitting here rambling, and all of a sudden, it'll just stop. And everybody will be like, whatever happened to Muckster? You'll be, oh, he totally rage quit the internet. No, it's not. The internet is rage quitting Muckster. So how about them Mets? Yes, that is a big coffee. Thank you for noticing. That a friend of mine gave that to me for Christmas a few years ago, and it's probably, you might be able to see it there. It says "Think Big" on the side. It's I think it was called like the Big Dog Coffee Cup, something like that. But I use all what's it called, Keurig. I do Keurig coffee. You put the little pods in, and you have a choice of 3. It's like small, medium, and large. Well, this is 2 shots of large. Nerdy, it would not be a day at the channel if you didn't say you had a bad connection. My hope for the future is that I can start getting through entire, what do we call these things? Broadcast, podcast, discussions, anyway, that I can get through an entire live without passing out, but it may not be what you want. My real hope for the future, once again calling into politics, is that Trump loses. I don't care who he's running against, because I think he will be a disaster for the country, not just because he's a disaster and he's going to be totally out of control, but also because the people who will actually be making decisions, because he doesn't care a whole lot about the job except for going out and being seen and making speeches. Those people are going to be putting in that 2025 stuff and, hey, say goodbye to America. That's not really a hope. Oh, yeah, it was a hope. I said I hope Trump loses. I'll tell you, and we did, what's another time we actually did a live on a subject. I did one that was like, let's talk about the 2025 project. And I'll just go back to one thing on that. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, as the kids love to say today, go do your own research. But actually, I mean, if you just Google the 2025 project, you'll see all the kind of stuff they're proposing. But let me just throw this one little thing out there about that. These people claim that they have ideas that are good for America. And so their whole plan is to institute this when, as they hope, Trump wins. But they say right out, if Trump doesn't win, then they will wait for the next Republican president. Wouldn't you think if they thought they had what's a good idea for America, that they would be pushing these ideas no matter who is in office? But no, it's all about helping the people up at the top of the pyramid who don't really need any help. And Nerdy thinks I should be looking for world peace. Nerdy, I know you're up in Alaska, which almost seems like a foreign country, but we're here in America. Our motto is, fuck the rest of the world, we're America. If Trump wins, everyone gets fired. It may sound like Kiwi is just saying things, but that is truly one of their 2025 things is, hello BSBT, is they want to eliminate something like 20,000 civil service jobs and put people in there who are loyal to Trump, to the party, to their back ass ideas. Of course, a lot of this stuff they propose, they claim they want to save money. Things like eliminating the education department, because of course, education should just be in the hands of the states. That's the way they say. No, they want it to be so that all their friends in their little shithole places, like, not to offend anybody, but let's just say, Texas, can then turn their education system into, pre-Civil War. And they want to eliminate, here's my favorite. I don't even know what their reasoning for this is, but they want to eliminate NOAA, the weather people, the people that tell you when the hurricanes are coming. So that one I don't even understand their motives for that one. They want to eliminate of course, the Environmental Protection Agency, because that hurts all their rich friends. Hello, Vippy. How are you today? There. Even before I mentioned Vippy, he goes ahead and shows who he truly is. You really think I didn't know what a stupid name like Stone Jew Podcast, who that would be? Such a child, Vippy. You are such a child. Let's see. Howard loves Borat. I gotta tell you, Howard, this is one of the many places where I disagree with you. I did not like Borat at all. If you're talking about that comedian guy who pretends to be from Eastern Europe somewhere, does not appeal to me. So, this is an interesting subject now that it's come up. And I noticed my but he deleted his message, but he did not time him out or anything, so we'll assume Miss Vippy is still listening. There's a subject we could talk about while I am still finishing my coffee. I don't really want to be here a long time today, but y'all know Miss Vippy, who tends to call himself Vegas Vips out there, although he goes by 1,000 other names because he hides behind sock accounts. And he does this not because he's a fun-loving guy, but because he likes to cause trouble in places. He will even do sock accounts of other people who are known on YouTube so he can go and have them say all kinds of stupid shit in channels and try to get the original person in trouble. But there's an interesting thing that happened a couple weeks ago. I happen to know a friend of mine did a Vegas Vips sock account, and they would go into chats where Vippy already was at and would just say stupid things like, hey, quit impersonating me, or stuff like that. Nothing, they weren't doing any of that malicious stuff. And guess what happened? Vips complained about them and got their channel taken down for impersonating somebody else. Now you gotta love the irony of the king of socks getting upset because somebody made a sock of him. And once again, it just shows what a stupid child he is. Anyway, enough about that. I mean, it tells you all you got to know about the guy, that he's now best friends with Toddler. And one of these days, Toddler will learn that he brought a poisonous snake into his nest. But hey, who cares what happens to Toddler? Should the USA create a new border just south of Virginia, east to west, and call it Mexas? Well, there's a thought. I mean, we could just go by the old Mason-Dixon line there, Kiwi. One of the things as I said, Kiwi, Stone Jew was Vegas Vips. Because, and I'll just throw this out there, because anybody, if you've seen him, if he's on camera, he's always masked. He will not show his face on camera. And he also, which is why he also hides behind various things. Like Stone Jew, I think, is one of the channels he uses when he wants to say derogatory things about people, but he wants to claim that it's not him doing it. Anyway, on what Kiwi said about drawing a new border, I always laugh when periodically Texas says they want to break off from the rest of the country. And, you know, first of all, my thought is, hey, good riddance, but also, Texas, do you know how much federal funding Texas gets? I will give you a hint. It's much more than what they pay back into the country. So just imagine Texas says, okay, we are splitting off. And the first thing that happens is all the offices close down that is paying Texans their welfare and Social Security and so forth. And the next thing is all the military bases that are in Texas would be shut down. So yeah. Now, Kiwi, you say that Vips is an ass sphincter. I don't know if I would agree with that because I don't know what sphincter means, but I would call him an asshole. Oh, it is afternoon. I was thinking of going to noon, but geez, I've hardly drank my coffee, so I will continue to sit here and ramble. So, has anybody got anything else? Shall we make fun of people from New Zealand? Sheep jokes get boring. That Dinesh guy would hunt him down. Well, I don't know who that Dinesh guy is. You know, there's a guy I would see on the talk shows sometimes called Dinesh, but I have a feeling you're talking about a YouTuber. And that is one thing about me, folks. I know I hooked up with Finkel now. I think we figured it's been like 7 months ago. And, let's just, you people with your dirty minds, when I say I hooked up with him, I mean we had great sex. I am kidding, of course. But anyway, so it's been about 7 months or so since we started doing stuff. And people in our little circle here have gotten used to seeing me and know that I am part of our little YouTube world. But I have to tell you, I know very little about the rest of YouTube. Whenever you guys talk about other channels and stuff, most of them I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never watched the Tomato Lady. I've seen very little of Shiz, but what little I've seen, I think she's a terrible person. I have, of course, I used to watch Stone Vet quite a bit until he became all toddler all the time. Don't really watch his other channels. I know I famously recently had a little back and forth with one of their channels over there, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm not bothering with that anymore, although I still would love to see those famous emails I was supposed to have sent. Now, I do like, while we're talking about that, I don't know why you brought it up, but I like Master Sarge's thing. He basically is doing what we are planning to do on the podcast channel, which, by the way, I keep mentioning it's 1 o'clock on Sunday, but I forget to mention to people that that's not going to be a set time. We will not be planning a every Sunday at 1 p.m. thing. The scheduling will go by whoever the guest is going to be. This one just happened to be 1 p.m. because that works out good for her. But, with whoever the guest is, we'll be working around their schedule. But anyway, what else? Oh, I was just saying I became aware of Toddler because mostly Finkel, just the same way I became aware of Wrangler. But other than that, I don't know most of any of these other people you guys talk about, except for like I watch some channels that are different from what we do. Like I love the Civil Rights Lawyer and Jeff Gray. And I'll call him my buddy Rich because he's come in here and talked to us a couple times. I really like Mr. Nice Guy, who does a thing very much like Jeff Gray. Jeff Gray is Honor Your Oath. If you don't know, he's the guy that lately his big thing has been standing out there with the sign that says honor your homeless vet, not honor. What is it? Support your homeless vet. I forget now, but people always think he's out there begging and they call the police on him. But yeah, whenever you guys say about, did you see what Joey said or whoever, or if Dinesh is one of those people, yeah, I never have any idea who you're talking about. And I also do not venture into that cesspool called Discord, so I never have any idea what's going on down there. Oh, okay. Well, I just looked back and saw what Howard said. By the way, Howard, Nasty Nathaniel, and Vips actually did one together. And that's the picture that somebody sent to Sarge when he said he'd like a picture of Vips. And it shows the two of them together, but even then, Vips was wearing a mask because he's afraid to show his ugly face on camera. But anyway, yeah, so Nasty Nathaniel would already know who Vips is. And I like him. I like Nate. I used to watch him a lot. I've gotten bored pretty much with all of the one so-called 1A people, except for, like I said, I'll still watch anytime Jeff Gray puts a new one up, and also Mr. Nice Guy. But and even though I totally support the good 1A auditors, which, by the way, I had nothing to do with picking that name for what they do. I kind of became bored with them because it's I'll tell you, this is what it's like. It's like watching a Hallmark Channel Christmas movie. It may be set in 1850, it may be set today, it may be in a small town, it may be in a city, whatever the setting is, they've only got like 3 different stories they tell. They use different actors and they change the plot a little bit. But when you watch 1 or 2 Hallmark Christmas movies, within the first couple of minutes, you know who is going to fall in love and all of that. And that's the way it's gotten to be with the auditing. You watch it and you just know what's going to happen in them. And there's only so many times I can watch police being stupid and people telling somebody you can't be here. This is private property owned by the city. But anyway, I don't know why you people keep dragging me down these subjects. I thought we came here to talk about Ariel and Killing Time. Let's see. I've been watching chat, but Kiwi. I think we covered that. Kiwi, did we? You asked who is Stone Jew, and yeah, that was Vegas Vips. Vegas Vips used to have a channel that, well, I'm not sure if he was using it as a channel at the time. He might have, but one of his socks, one of his most famous ones, that he actually caused a lot of danger. Boy, am I having trouble. I actually slept last night, folks. Anyway, he caused a lot of trouble with was somebody called, it was like, I think, Master Sarge RTL. I think what was it, MSG RTL or something like that. Anyway, RTL, everybody just called. That he pretended was like a whole different person. He even would go on panels and he had a voice changer. And he had people convinced he was from Australia or something. And when he finally got found out, then RTL disappeared, and now that is Stoned Jew. And once again, it's the kind of name that tells you a lot about the jackass. But that is by no means the only identity he goes by. I was over there in what is now F3 now. I was watching Josh, and he was sniping another channel, which is another thing I've gotten tired of. But anyway, you could see the chat in the other channel. Now, in Josh's chat was Chris for public safety. And I would see chat going by over in the, I think it must have been Toddlers or someplace. And over there, I see somebody calling himself for public safety, and he was making nasty comments about Finkel. And I knew, first of all, that Chris would not be doing that in some other channel. But also, Chris was sitting right there in the channel I was at, and he was chatting. And I know you can be in 2 different places and chatting in both, but even Chris, I think, would have a hard time to be saying 2 different things at exactly the same time. So I knew that was Vips over there, but he has also done a Finkel puppet And I am pretty sure he has done me because I've had people claim that I have said stuff in places that I have not. Someone was going on and on about something I did in another channel that I've never even visited. So again, that's more about our Miss Vippy. I guess I can tell you, if we're going to talk about this, that if you do not know, I actually have a little bit of history with Miss Vippy. When I first became associated with Sarge, he had these two friends that were hanging around called Vegas Vips and Perfect Soulmate. And I always liked the way the Angry Vet would describe them. He'd say Vegas Vips and his Perfect Soulmate. But, Vips was who he is, a very immature person. And this Perfect Soulmate guy, I think must be Sarge must have got to know him because the guy's a vet. But the guy's also a guy who thinks he's an expert on all sorts of things he's had no training in. He considers himself a relationship expert. He is often telling people how they should live their lives. But we were here having a discussion the one time, and I don't even remember what it was about. But this Perfect Soulmate was making the point that everybody should be listening to him because he was an expert on the subject. It was something involving politics or whatever. And he said, I have been studying this for 10 years. And I said something along the line of 10 years. Well, that's really something. I said, I have underwear that I've owned for 10 years. Now, I think most of you here probably know that's like an old kind of joke. When somebody will say something like that, someone will say, I've been, whatever, a lawyer for 8 years, and someone will say, yeah, I got shorts older than that or whatever. But anyway, this guy who knows everything, this Perfect Soulmate guy, had no idea what that reference was, and he thought it was some kind of a very nasty comment on him, and he went on and on about it. But anyway, he became so annoying that I think Sarge kicked him out, didn't ban him, and I forget all the chronology and stuff. But anyway, then there was a thing where Vips and Soulmate did that was the one that really got Sarge. They did a thing on the Angry Vet, where supposedly the vet was supposed to show up for a debate with them, and they sat there for an hour saying that the Angry Vet was a coward. He never showed up. And I happened to have had the Angry Vet's phone number, and I texted him and I said, are you supposed to be doing a thing with Vippy today? And no, the Angry Vet was actually 2 hours from home meeting with his lawyer. He had no idea they were doing this. But when Sarge heard that they had pulled this kind of a dirty trick, that's when he cut them off, and that's when Vippy just went crazy and started making these videos about Sarge, where he was like saying to people, well, in fact, he'd do live and he'd go, yeah, I found out that Sarge is this left-wing dipshit. Now, he'd been hanging around Sarge before I came here. And he knew Sarge's politics because Sarge never made any secret of them. He actually used to do videos on his politics, and eventually he set up a different channel just for that. But yeah, Vippy got all butthurt, and at the same time, Vippy has also been unhappy with me because I often think that he thinks that I misplaced him. It was like, oh, I became the brother that stole Daddy's affection, and I say Daddy because I really think if you notice where Vip spends his time now, he's out there looking for father figures because he is a sad little child that obviously grew up without any sort of male companionship, except for possibly the kind that most of us would not be wanting when we were children. But anyway, yeah, he's a sad, sad little person who now goes around trying to cause trouble with other people. And he desperately is looking for friends, but has no idea how to do them because once he does find someone that tries to be his friend, he does something to stab them in the back because I think he's got that weird psychosis where he had so many people abandon him and so forth in the past that he's afraid it'll happen. So anytime he gets to liking somebody, he has to do something to ruin it first. And wow, did I bring the whole conversation to an end? I can't believe there are people still here in the room, but I'm going to drink some more coffee and let's move on to another subject. We'll give the chat a few seconds to catch up with Lad and somebody go, yeah, let's get back to talking about happy things like how Trump is going to destroy the country. Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Bueller? You have already spread lies about kiwi birds and our wool industry. By the way, I think kiwi was here at the time. Some of our other New Zealanders were here when we got to talking about kiwi, and a lot of people had no idea what kiwi was. Sarge brought up the old shoe polish, which I had forgotten about, but I remember we had the same shoe polish when I was a kid. But I'm not sure. I don't think he knew it was a bird. A lot of people knew kiwi was a fruit. And I'm looking right now because I went to find a picture of the kiwi bird. And I want to find one I really liked. And of course, you know, Google will not cooperate with me now. Hey, Joey, how are you doing? Not that I really care, but, you know, it's the thing I'm supposed to say when people come in. The other guys keep telling me this. They say, no, whenever someone new comes in, you don't say things like, oh, there's that fucking asshole. I don't know. This is just, like I said, I'm relatively new to YouTube, and I just don't know all these little ins and outs. Hello, Mark. Were you already here, Mark? Yeah, I hate to waste hellos. Damn it, I'm finding similar. Yeah, I'll show you this one here if I don't find the one I really liked. Yeah, let's go back up and find this one. It's along the same lines as the other one. No, I'm not going to find. Oh, there. Let's make this one a little bigger. Talking about kiwis and the birds and the fruit. Let's see. Share screen. I like this one over there on the right, where it shows that the kiwi bird inside is the kiwi fruit. The one I saw I really liked, it was like the kiwi, and it looked like they'd sliced it, and there was a bunch of slices of kiwi fruit. And now you're all wondering why I just spent so much time going out and finding that. I'm not sure myself. The kiwi has the smallest, you're obviously being facetious. And it's getting close to time to quit because, you know, Ariel just came. How's it going today, Ariel? I will say, Killen was here earlier in chat because he was the one that got rid of a certain annoyance, so we won't mention Vippy anymore because it's a boring subject. Now, Kiwi, you go and say in public that Ariel is the real manager. You know, we try to hide these things from Sarge because he very foolishly thinks he's in charge. Yeah, poor Sarge. Oh, speaking of poor people who are oblivious to what goes on. Hello there, Jerry. Now, Ariel, you can't possibly be in the meeting room working if you are in here. That would put you in two places at one time. Although, as we know, you can't actually touch the meeting room. So if you can't touch it, it is not real and it does not exist. So you can't be there anyway. That's just a little bit of philosophy from somebody who was here the other day. Can you touch a thought? No, then it is not real. Yeah. And Jerry says he's about to have his break because he likes to pretend that he has a job. As we all know, Jerry actually lives in a state facility, as they call it. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's in jail. I'm saying that the facility that he lives in is a very comfortable place with padded walls. And he likes to pretend that he has a job. The job changes daily. You know, a lot of times he harkens back to his days working at Taco Bell. Other times, you know, he's like, I don't know, a diesel mechanic or something. I don't know. It's a sad, sad situation, folks. So please have some sympathy for Jerry. If you are the type of person who does this, pray for him and hope that he one day gets better and can rejoin society. Hopefully a society that is nowhere near me. That may have just been what the guys have been telling me about, that I should be more polite to the people that come in chat. I'll have to get their feedback on that. It's called a temp agency, and I'm like Lucy Ricardo to those jobs. Okay, now the one thing I will agree with is Jerry is like Lucy Ricardo because you often can't understand what he's saying, and he is a little crazy. I think you meant to say can't, but I like it, Kiwi. I can't touch my tax debt, so it does not exist. You know, I gotta tell you, speaking of debts and things, not too long ago, I had to get a new refrigerator. And as I shopped around for refrigerators, there was the one that they said was energy efficient and that over the next 5 years it would pay for itself. So I got the refrigerator and I did buy it on time. And after a couple of months, I start getting these letters and phone calls from the people saying, you have not made any payments on that refrigerator. And I said, you told me it was going to pay for itself over 5 years. Leave me alone. I just don't understand people sometimes. Yeah, Jerry, I'm in an unusually good mood. So yeah, I threw you a bone. Which of course is also the way they feed him in his facility. Nobody wants to get their fingers anywhere near his mouth, so they just throw the food through a little slot in the door. Speaking of little slots, does anybody watch that Shiz channel? She seems to be quite the slot. Well, Mitch, I assume it's paying for itself because, I blocked them from my phone and I don't answer their mail. And so I'm thinking they're just sending me mail saying, okay, the refrigerator made its payment this month. That lazy fridge wing even made square ice cubes. See, now this is the way people talk in those facilities. Unless maybe it's me, folks. I've never had a fridge wing. I don't know what that is. So we've come to another break in my ongoing Saturday morning monologue, which is now gone, at least a half hour longer than I thought I would. But I still have not finished my voluminous coffee, and I am having fun. I got to make fun of Vips. I got to make fun of Jerry, two of my favorite things, for different reasons. I make fun of Vips because he deserves to be made fun of. He is a terrible human being. I make fun of Jerry because he can take it. Mitch said it is bad when people like him correct grammar. Now, Mitch, I don't think just because you're black, you should be bad at grammar, even though you are. Howard escaped the facility, and I think we all realize that already. He's dealing 3-card Monte in Times Square. Apparently people still do that and people still fall for it. Wouldn't you think by now? I mean, that has been in movies and TV shows and stuff now since like the 30s. They'd show somebody doing things like the 3-card Monte. And I mean, doesn't everybody know it's a scam? I don't know. Please don't say Jerry and he could take it in the same sentence. Well, I'm sure that you do have to worry about the showers in that facility. Yeah, that's just what Mitch needs on his farm is to have a Jerry hanging around. That could drive Mitch to smoking weed just to calm down from it. Well, I guess what I could do is give you folks a weather report. It's still too fucking hot, although it's gotten better. Well, folks, for some people, it's always close to Halloween. I've noticed over the last few years, Halloween has really gotten so much more popular with adults. One needs a jury till they don't. And by the way, folks, I will say this in total seriousness. If you come around here with any regularness, you have seen Jerry here, and Jerry is welcome here. I make fun of him, but neither I or any other guys really give a crap about that other stuff that has happened. So if you see Jerry here and you go, oh, those guys have Jerry there, yeah, we don't really care what your opinion is. I reserve the right, of course, to kick Jerry out anytime he annoys me, but that has nothing to do with you people or your ideas about Jerry. Anyway, my coffee is done. I believe I have some business in another room in the house that I will not go into. But I do want to thank you guys for stopping by. I just thought I'd come in this morning and see who's around the chat and chat for a while. And I thought it was kind of fun. We hit a few subjects. We got to make fun of Vips and Jerry. All in all, I didn't get to tell a whole lot of Kiwi jokes. But, you know, Kiwi was here, so that's the only Kiwi joke we need. I guess that's about it. What I'm going to do, as I often do at night when I do a late nighter, I am not going to shut down the stream right away. I am just going to leave the studio, as the button says at the bottom. And then YouTube will time itself out in another 15 or 20 minutes. So the chat will stay there. And if you guys want to sit there and make fun of each other or whatever else, you can do so until it shuts itself down. But again, thanks for coming in. Remember, 1 o'clock tomorrow Eastern time is our first podcast. I think it'll be a good one. We'll see y'all. And hey, Kiwi, get some sleep, you know? And Jerry, be nice to the orderlies.